Good morning. My name is Pastor Andrea, and I want to know your story. To be more specific, I want to know your conversion story. Now, don't worry. Don't be anxious. This is a Lutheran church, and I am a Lutheran pastor, so I am not going to ask you to get up and share your testimony right here, right now. But I mean it. I want to know your conversion story. You heard just a bit ago from Paul's letter to the Galatians. I have to admit, I sort of have a love-hate relationship with Paul. Maybe that's true for some of you too. But I have always been fascinated by his conversion, by his former life, his former name. In his former life, he persecuted Christians. He did terrible things. He was kind of a terrible person. But now he has become a Christ follower, and he is absolutely zealous about it. He is the missionary above all missionaries. He will stop at nothing to tell people of the good news of Jesus Christ. I used to think that it was his conversion that made him interesting, but the funny thing about this letter is that Paul is a convert writing to other converts. Jesus was crucified in the early 30s. This letter was written somewhere in the 50s. Life expectancy wasn't what it is now, but even so, most of the adults in this community, they have not been raised in this faith. They are converts just like Paul. They are Jewish just like Paul, and they have made an active choice to follow Jesus just like Paul. That changes things for me. I'm a Lutheran pastor, and I have come to understand my primary vocation as that of storyteller. This vocation permeates all of my other ones: writer, pastor, teacher, spouse, mother, friend, neighbor, and so on. I tell stories, I craft stories, I pursue stories in the wild, and I teach people how to do those things too. And one of the best ways that I know to discover stories in our own selves or in our own spaces and places and communities is to view these spaces and places and communities with fresh eyes. It sounds really easy when I say it like that, but it's actually kind of hard. And if we practice, we can get better at it. I serve as pastor at Diamond Lake Lutheran Church in South Minneapolis. I have been there only 2 years, and in that time I have hired several new staff members. The newest is Parker. He is our parish nurse. Nearly every time that we sit down, just the two of us, he will say, "So I've noticed something, and I want to ask you about it, and it's probably not my lane. So you can just tell me to move along. But I wonder why we do this thing in this way. Or I wonder if we should move this piece of furniture, programming, marketing, whatever. I wonder if we should move it from over here to over there." And it's kind of glorious. Because as much as I have tried to hold on to my own fresh eyes from 2 years ago, it's really easy to just get used to the way things are, even if I have wondered about them in the back of my mind this whole time. And so I say to Parker, yes, please always ask, always make suggestions, always wonder, because it is so helpful. It is helpful to have Parker, the new parish nurse, but it can be just as helpful to have each other. Each of us notices something that someone else does not. Each of you notices something that the person sitting next to you does not. We can be fresh eyes for one another. And here we are, you and me. There's nothing stopping us. I don't know why you're here. Maybe you're here this morning because you volunteered to help serve communion. Or because life is really hard right now and you wanted to be surrounded by friends and hymns and prayers. Or because life is really good right now and so you wanted the same. Maybe you're here this morning because you're in the bell choir. You were scheduled to play. Or because you're on the payroll and it's your job. Or because it's Sunday morning and it's just that simple. But I am here because I want to know your conversion story. Paul is writing to the Galatians, to a community of Christian converts. Most of them are practicing Jews. Judaism is a religion, but it's also a way of life, and Paul is not especially mindful of how complicated it is to juggle these two identities within the same person, within the same community. Paul likes absolutes. Paul likes things black and white. He's not interested in keeping what he calls the disciplinarian around. This is better translated, I think, as guardian, but he's talking about the Jewish adherence to the law. He's kind of frustrated that they keep paying attention to the law. He wants the Galatians, these early Christian converts, to turn away completely from the religion that has shaped them, from the way of life that has shaped them. He thinks it's preventing them somehow from being all in as Christ followers. But all of this communication is happening by way of letters. I wonder what these early Christians would have said to Paul if they had had the chance, in person. If he had been standing right in front of them, I wonder if they might have said something like this. The law has been our guardian. Tradition has been our guardian. The stories we have always told, they have been our guardian. The law has served us well. Tradition, it has served us well. The stories we have always told, they have served us well. And they are not all there is. They are not the full extent of the Spirit's work among us. They never have been. They never will be. And so, Paul, you don't have to be afraid. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We are people who contain multitudes. With that in mind, I have some questions for you, the people of God here at Muhlenberg Lutheran Church. Tell me your conversion story to this particular congregation of Christ followers. Tell me about the Spirit's work among you here. What are the stories you have always told about this community, either here inside or out there? The stories that tie you all together. What stories are the reasons that you came here in the first place, the very first time? The reason you came back a second time? The reason you're here today? Why does this place matter to you in your life right now? I know that you just heard those as rhetorical, but they are not. At our workshop yesterday, we made heavy use of Post-it notes. You have Post-it notes in your pews. I think they're on the center aisle. You should grab your Post-it notes, take one or two, send them down. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read those questions again in a minute. It was a whole laundry list of questions, but really it's like 17 different ways to get to the same thing. And we all have different brains, and so I asked that same question 17 different ways. My hope is that one of those questions lit up your brain. So I'm going to read them again in a minute. You choose the question that lights up your brain, and I want you to answer it on the Post-it note. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that, and then I'm going to come back up here for just a minute. When you're finished writing, you can send those to the center aisle, and either the person sitting on the aisle can just hold them, or you can even just stick them there on the end of your pew. During the hymn of the day, the ushers are going to come and collect them, and they're going to put them on the whiteboard in the gathering space. After worship, you can see what everyone from the first service wrote, and then you can also see what everyone else sitting here wrote, because my guess is that the way that you answer these questions is different from the way the person sitting next to you is going to answer it and the person sitting next to them, right? We all have a different vantage point, and so we are going to be fresh eyes for one another. Here are those questions one more time. Tell me your conversion story to this particular congregation of Christ followers. Tell me about the Spirit's work among you. What are the stories you have always told about this community, the ones that tie you all together? What stories are the reason you came here the very first time? And then somehow, after that very first time, you came back. Why? What is the reason you are here today? Why does this place matter to you in your life right now? I'll give you a few minutes. Dear friends, Paul wants to hear your conversion story. I mean, he doesn't realize that he needs to hear it, but I kind of think he does. We need to hear these stories from one another. It doesn't work for any one person to just hold their story alone. Stories like these, our conversion stories, the stories about why this place matters to you, the stories about why this place makes a difference for you. These stories are no good unless we share them. I have only been with you a very short time, but I can already tell that what Paul said about the Galatians is true about you too. God does supply you with the Spirit, and God is working miracles among you. What good news. Thanks be to God. Amen.